The Centaurian flagship Star Weaver dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system, its crystalline hull refracting sunlight in dazzling patterns. Ambassador Rallin stood on the observation deck, his iridescent scales shifting from deep blue to green with anticipation. This was meant to be a routine first contact with yet another emerging civilization, but something about the sensor readings troubled him. Ambassador, his science officer, Tekler, called from her station. Her tentacles waved in agitation as she analyzed the data. "I'm detecting inconsistencies." Rallin glided across the deck to her station. "Explain." "The humans' technology levels don't align with any known development pattern. They're using primitive fossil fuels alongside antimatter containment fields. Their cities employ both basic electrical grids and quantum entanglement communications. It's as if they're deliberately mixing advanced and primitive technologies." "Perhaps they simply developed unevenly," Rallin suggested, though his scales rippled with doubt. In 3 centuries of diplomatic service, he'd never encountered anything quite like this. As they approached Earth, more anomalies emerged. The humans had detected their arrival instantly, despite supposedly lacking advanced sensor technology. The designated landing site in a place called Nevada was perfectly calibrated to their ship's specifications, yet Earth supposedly hadn't encountered alien vessels before. The welcoming committee consisted of just 3 humans. No media circus, no military parade, no panicking crowds. Just 2 women and a man in simple clothing, waiting calmly in the desert heat. "I don't like this," Tekler muttered as they prepared to disembark. "Their behavior doesn't match any first contact protocols we've encountered." Rallin silently agreed, but they were committed now. As the ship's ramp descended, he prepared his carefully crafted speech about welcoming humanity into the galactic community. The words died in his throat as one of the humans stepped forward. "Welcome to Earth, Ambassador Rallin," she said in perfect Centaurian, her pronunciation flawless. "I'm Dr. Emily Chen, Earth's diplomatic liaison. I trust your journey through the Orion Spur was pleasant. The solar winds can be quite turbulent this time of year." Rallin's secondary heart skipped a beat. They hadn't told Earth their route. And how did she know about the solar wind patterns in their sector? "You speak our language," he managed, trying to maintain his diplomatic composure. Dr. Chen smiled warmly. "We find it's helpful to be prepared. Shall we head inside? We've prepared a facility that matches Centaurian atmospheric preferences, though I should warn you, our technology might seem a bit eclectic." The facility she led them to appeared to be a simple concrete building. Yet Rallin's personal scanner detected energy readings that shouldn't be possible with Earth's supposed level of advancement. The door opened with an old-fashioned mechanical handle, but the air inside was perfectly calibrated to Centaurian physiology, down to the smallest trace elements. "Please, make yourselves comfortable." Dr. Chen gestured to chairs that seemed to be made of plain metal, but somehow adjusted automatically to support Centaurian anatomy. "Would you like refreshments? We have synthesized your traditional welcoming drink, though some visitors prefer our human coffee." Tekler's tentacles coiled tightly. How could you possibly know how to synthesize? "Trial and error," the male human interrupted with a gentle smile. He introduced himself as Dr. James Martinez, technological advisor. "We're quite good at figuring things out. Coffee." Rallin accepted a cup of the dark human beverage, noting how the seemingly simple ceramic mug maintained the liquid at precisely the right temperature without any visible technology. Every detail reinforced the growing suspicion that they were missing something enormous about humanity. "I believe," Dr. Chen said, settling into her own chair, "you have questions. Let's start with the one you haven't asked yet. Why would a civilization capable of synthesizing Centaurian biochemistry and building quantum-adjusted atmospheric systems pretend to be struggling with fossil fuels?" Rallin's scales shifted to deep purple, shock. "You're admitting to the deception." Deception implies harmful intent. The third human spoke for the first time. She introduced herself as General Sarah Williams, We prefer to think of it as maintaining perspective. Sometimes the old ways have value, Ambassador. Not every problem requires the most advanced solution. But why? Tekler demanded. Why deliberately appear primitive? Dr. Chen's smile took on a hint of sadness. Because true wisdom isn't about having the most advanced technology. It's about knowing when and how to use it. Humanity learned that lesson long ago. Perhaps it's time we helped others learn it too. As if on cue, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. General Williams checked a device that appeared to be a simple wristwatch, but displayed a holographic readout that surpassed anything in the Centurion fleet. Right on schedule, she said grimly. Ambassador, it seems the universe has decided to show rather than tell. We're detecting multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace, raiders from the Crixian expanse. They've been targeting developing worlds, and they believe Earth is defenseless. Dr. Chen stood, her pleasant diplomatic demeanor shifting to something ancient and powerful. Would you like to see what humanity is really capable of, Ambassador? We've been protecting younger civilizations from threats like this for longer than your people have been traveling the stars. Relen watched in stunned silence as the simple concrete walls around them transformed, revealing a command center that made his flagship's bridge look like a child's toy. The truth about humanity was about to become very clear, and he suspected the galaxy would never be the same. The Crixian raiders never knew what hit them. Their ships, bristling with weapons that could level cities, simply stopped. No explosions, no dramatic battles. They froze in space as if caught in invisible amber. Localized space-time manipulation field, Dr. Martinez explained casually to the stunned Centurion delegation. Much cleaner than weapons. Less paperwork, too. Ambassador Ralen watched as the raiders' ships were gently guided into a holding pattern around Earth's moon. His scales had shifted to pure white, a sign of complete astonishment in his species. You possess technology that can control space-time itself, yet your cities still burn fossil fuels. Among other things, General Williams replied, her fingers dancing over what looked like an ancient mechanical keyboard, but somehow controlled the most advanced systems Ralen had ever seen. The raiders are secure. Dr. Chen, shall we move to Phase 2? Dr. Chen nodded, turning to their visitors. Ambassador, we've been concealing ourselves for millennia, guiding younger civilizations from the shadows. But something is coming, something that requires us to be more direct in our approach. Before Ralen could respond, a new alert flashed across the command center screens. Light years away, at the edge of Centurion space, an archaeological team had just made a discovery that would shatter the galaxy's understanding of history. The team's leader, Dr. Vexna, stared at her findings in disbelief. The artifacts she'd uncovered weren't just predating known civilization. They were human in origin. Her hands trembled as she activated her quantum communicator. Central Authority, she reported. I found evidence that humans were among the stars when my people were still learning to make fire. The command center in Nevada displayed her transmission in real time. Dr. Chen smiled softly. Right on schedule. Ambassador, would you like to know why we've maintained our technological masquerade for so long? She gestured, and the facility's walls became transparent, revealing vast underground complexes stretching for miles in every direction. Ancient ships, temporal observatories, and technologies that defied description stood alongside simple steam engines and internal combustion motors. Humanity reached the stars millions of years ago, Dr. Martinez explained. We built empires, fought wars that made stars go dark, wielded power that no species should possess. And then we realized something that nearly destroyed us. Technology without wisdom is a path to extinction. General Williams pulled up historical records that made Tekler's tentacles curl in shock. We nearly wiped ourselves out dozens of times before we understood. True advancement isn't about having the most powerful tools. It's about knowing when not to use them. Across the galaxy, more discoveries were pouring in. Human artifacts, millions of years old, found on thousands of worlds, each piece telling the same story. An ancient civilization that had reached godlike power and chosen to step back. We established Earth as a preserve, Dr. Chen continued. A place to remember our roots, to maintain perspective. Those fossil fuel plants you mentioned, they remind us of the cost of progress without foresight. The simple machines teach us humility. Every piece of primitive technology serves a purpose in our development program. Development program? Raylan asked, his diplomatic training struggling to process the implications. For ourselves and others, Dr. Martin smiled. We've been guiding younger species, helping them avoid our mistakes. Those raiders we just stopped. They'll wake up tomorrow with no memory of the incident, but with a mysterious new understanding of why conquest isn't the answer. Suddenly, every screen in the facility lit up with urgent warnings. Dr. Chen's expression turned grave. And now you understand why we're revealing ourselves. Something is awakening out there. Something we fought eons ago. Something that requires us to stop hiding and start preparing the galaxy's younger races for what's coming. The images on the screen showed a darkness spreading between the stars, a void that consumed light itself. General Williams' ancient-looking wristwatch projected a countdown that made the humans' expressions turn grim. Ambassador, Dr. Chen said softly, your people call themselves the Centurion Alliance, masters of known space. But there are regions of space that aren't known, threats that we've been holding back since before your ancestors discovered fire. It's time for humanity to step out of the shadows, not as conquerors, but as teachers. And if we refuse your guidance? Tekler asked, her scientific skepticism warring with the evidence before her. Dr. Martinez chuckled. My dear, you've been accepting our guidance for centuries. Every mysterious scientific breakthrough, every seemingly impossible leap in understanding. We've been there, nudging, suggesting, protecting. The only difference now is that we're telling you about it. As if to emphasize his point, a section of the facility's floor became transparent, revealing a vast chamber filled with ships that made the Centurion flagship look like a primitive canoe. Yet among these marvels stood museums of simple machines, preserved as carefully as any ancient treasure. The question isn't whether you'll accept our guidance, General Williams said, her eyes fixed on the spreading darkness in the long-range scans. The question is whether the galaxy's younger races are ready to learn what humanity discovered millions of years ago. The most advanced civilization isn't the one with the most powerful weapons. It's the one wise enough to know when not to use them. The facility's alarms began to sing in harmony, a sound that somehow conveyed both warning and hope. Humanity's masquerade was ending, and the true history of the galaxy was about to be rewritten. Deep within Earth's Mariana Trench, in a facility that bent light around itself, Commander Maya Patil gazed at the wall of time. Thousands of holographic displays showed pivotal moments across the galaxy. Civilizations taking their first steps into space, species on the brink of self-destruction, and countless moments where humanity's hidden hand had gently nudged the cosmos toward wisdom rather than catastrophe. Status report, she commanded, her simple cotton uniform belying her authority over technology that could reshape reality. The Centurion delegation is processing the revelation well, her AI companion Delta responded, its avatar manifesting as a simple blue light. Another example of humanity's deliberate technological restraint. Dr. Chen is preparing to show them the archives. Maya nodded, watching as another screen showed Dr. Vexna's archaeological team uncovering more human artifacts. The young alien scientist's discoveries were no accident. Humanity had been carefully orchestrating this revelation for centuries. They're ready for Phase 3, Maya decided. Initialize the awakening protocol. Across the galaxy, seemingly dormant human technology began to stir. Not weapons or warships, but something far more powerful, knowledge, carefully preserved and protected until the younger races were ready to understand it. Back in Nevada, Ambassador Raylan and Tekler followed Dr. Chen through a doorway that shouldn't have been possible, a simple wooden door that somehow connected Nevada to the heart of Mount Everest. This is the first archive, Dr. Chen explained as they entered a vast chamber carved into the mountain's core. We maintain similar facilities across Earth and throughout the galaxy, each preserving different aspects of our history and knowledge. The chamber was a study in contradictions. Quantum computers operated alongside abacuses. Digital displays shared space with paper books. And at the center, a simple wooden table held what appeared to be an ordinary cup of water. "Your first test," Dr. Martins said, gesturing to the cup. "Tell us, what do you see?" Tekler waved her analytical tentacles over the cup. "It's just water." "No, wait." Her instruments were reporting impossible readings. "This water is perfect, molecularly perfect. Every atom aligned with mathematical precision that shouldn't be possible. The simplest things are often the most profound," General Williams remarked. "This cup demonstrates why humanity chose to step back from godlike power. We learned to create perfect water, yes, but in doing so, we almost forgot the beauty of a raindrop." The chamber's walls shifted, revealing humanity's true history. They watched as human civilization rose and fell multiple times, each cycle reaching further into the cosmos, wielding greater power, until finally achieving something beyond mere technological supremacy: wisdom. "We were like children with fusion bombs," Dr. Martinez explained. "We could split atoms before we truly understood why we shouldn't. We could reshape planets before we learned to cherish them as they were. Each time we fell, we rose again, until we finally understood the responsibility that comes with power." Suddenly, alarms echoed through the facility. But these were different from the earlier warnings. These sounds carried an ancient weight that made even the humans pause. "The Void Heralds," General Williams announced grimly. "They're awakening faster than we predicted." The chamber's displays shifted to show the spreading darkness between the stars. But now Relin and Tekler could see what they hadn't before: patterns in the void, purpose in the darkness. This wasn't just some natural phenomenon. It was the return of something that humanity had fought eons ago. "Before we reveal more," Dr. Chen said, her voice carrying the weight of millions of years of human experience, "you need to understand what we've been protecting you from. The Void Heralds aren't just an enemy. They're a test that every spacefaring civilization must face. They embody the temptation to use power without wisdom, to take without understanding the cost of taking. We fought them," General Williams continued, "back when we were like them, drunk on our own power, certain of our superiority. The war reshaped galaxies, and in the end, we learned that victory wasn't about having the strongest weapons." Dr. Martinez approached the cup of perfect water and added a single drop of ordinary rain. The perfect molecular alignment shattered, creating something new, something natural and imperfect and beautiful. "Sometimes," he said softly, "the most advanced solution is knowing when to embrace imperfection. The Void Heralds cannot comprehend this. They seek perfection through power, order through dominance. They're what humanity might have become if we hadn't learned to step back." The facility hummed with energy as more of humanity's hidden technology awakened. Not to fight, but to prepare, to teach, to guide, to help the galaxy's younger races understand what had taken humanity millions of years to learn. "Your people aren't ready to wield our highest technologies," Dr. Chen told the Centurion delegates. "But you're ready to begin understanding why we chose not to wield them ourselves. The question is, are you prepared to learn?" As if in answer, the darkness between the stars pulsed, and across the galaxy, younger civilizations looked up at their skies in fear and wonder. Humanity's time in the shadows was ending, not with a show of force, but with an offer of guidance. The true test was about to begin. In Earth's orbital ring, carefully hidden behind holographic clouds, Sarah Chen watched the galaxy prepare for war. Not with weapons. Humanity had learned better, but with understanding. The Centurion delegation had spread the word, and now representatives from 1,000 species were arriving, each discovering that Earth's primitive space stations were gateways to technologies beyond their comprehension. They're adapting well, Ambassador Rallan noted, his scales now a thoughtful shade of blue-green. After 3 weeks of revelations, he'd become an eager student of humanity's philosophy. Though some still demand access to your advanced weapons. Of course they do. Sarah smiled, watching a holographic display showing civilizations across the galaxy discovering carefully planted human artifacts. We did too, once. The hardest lesson we learned was that the most powerful weapon isn't a weapon at all. The station's observation deck shifted, its seemingly glass windows becoming a vast display of the approaching void heralds. The darkness between stars had purpose now, moving with terrible intelligence. They're not just an enemy, Sarah explained, gesturing to patterns that only humanity's ancient understanding could perceive. They're a reflection of what happens when a civilization gains power without wisdom. We know. We nearly became them. Deep in the Horsehead Nebula, Dr. Vexnad made another discovery. This time, she wasn't alone. Human archaeologists worked alongside her team, revealing layers of history that had been hidden in plain sight. "This is impossible," she whispered, examining a device that appeared to be both ancient and brand new. "The quantum dating shows it's millions of years old, but it's still functioning perfectly. Because it was designed to," explained Dr. James Martinez, who had quietly appeared beside her. "Some technology doesn't need to be flashy or powerful. Sometimes, the most advanced solution is the one that endures." The device activated, projecting a history that made Vexna's species' proudest achievements seem like a child's first steps. But it wasn't a history of conquest or technological superiority. It was a record of humanity's failures, their lessons, their growth. Back on Earth, in a classroom that defied normal spacetime, General Williams addressed representatives from across the galaxy. The room appeared to be a simple lecture hall, but each attendee experienced it in their own atmospheric conditions, their own gravity, their own way of perceiving reality. "The Void Heralds aren't coming to destroy you," she explained, her voice translated perfectly into 1,000 languages. "They're coming to offer you what they offered us millions of years ago: power without price, advancement without wisdom, perfection without understanding." The room's walls became transparent, revealing the true Earth beneath its carefully maintained disguise. Vast cities that existed out of phase with normal spacetime, technologies that could reshape reality, and yet, scattered throughout, preserved examples of humanity's simpler tools and machines. "We keep these," Williams gestured to a preserved steam engine, "not because we need them, but because they remind us of something crucial. Every tool, no matter how simple or advanced, has a lesson to teach." In orbit, Sarah led Ambassador Rallan through a door that opened into the heart of Jupiter's great red spot. Here, in a storm that had raged for centuries, humanity maintained one of its most important facilities, not a weapons platform or a shield generator, but a library. "Your people believe the storm is a natural phenomenon," she explained as they walked through halls containing the accumulated knowledge of millions of years. "In a way it is. We learned long ago that the best hiding places are the ones that don't look like hiding places at all." The facility's alerts suddenly changed tone, not warning, but recognition. The Void Heralds had begun their approach to occupied space, and their message was the same one they'd offered humanity eons ago: surrender to perfection. "Why maintain the deception for so long?" Rallan asked, watching as the darkness approached. "Why not simply show your power and leave the galaxy openly?" Sarah's smile held millions of years of human experience, because true leadership isn't about showing power. It's about teaching others to use their own power wisely. "We didn't hide because we were afraid. We hid because some lessons can only be learned through experience." Across the galaxy, humanity's hidden guardians emerged from their cover of primitive technology. Not with weapons or shields, but with something far more powerful: understanding. As the Void Heralds approached, Humanity prepared to teach the galaxy's younger races the hardest lesson they'd ever learned, that the strongest defense against the darkness isn't technology or weapons, but the wisdom to know why you shouldn't need them. The true test, Sarah said, watching the galaxy's younger races prepare for what was coming, isn't whether we can defeat the Void Heralds. It's whether we can teach you to understand why they're already defeated, not by our power, but by our choice to use it differently. The darkness between the stars grew closer, but now it faced something it had never encountered before, a humanity that had spent millions of years preparing not for war, but for understanding. The Void Heralds arrived not with violence, but with a whisper that echoed across civilized space. Their message was simple, seductive. Accept our gift of perfection. In Earth's primary command center, buried in the quantum realm beneath Antarctica, Maya Patel stood before representatives of 10,000 worlds. The chamber appeared to be a simple auditorium, but it existed simultaneously in every major capital of every spacefaring race. Watch carefully, she said, as the Void Herald's first demonstration began. Around a distant star, reality itself seemed to crystallize, transforming an entire solar system into a mathematically perfect structure. This is what we refused eons ago. Ambassador Rowland's scales shifted to deep gold, wonder mixed with fear. It's beautiful, he admitted. Yes, Sarah Chen agreed, standing beside him. Just as a perfectly aligned crystal is beautiful, and just as dead. The display shifted, showing the transformed system in spectrums beyond normal space. Where there had been a vibrant ecosystem of planets, now there was only sterile perfection. Where there had been evolution and change, now there was only stasis. We almost accepted their gift, Dr. Martinez explained, his simple clothing now revealed as an interface with technologies beyond comprehension. We nearly became them. Perfect. Unchanging. Empty. Across the galaxy, humanity's hidden guardians activated their final protocol. Not a weapon, not a shield, but a lesson written in the language of reality itself. Every piece of primitive technology they'd maintained, every simple machine they'd preserved, began to tell its story. In the Centurion capital, steam engines revealed quantum equations hidden in their steam patterns. On distant worlds, internal combustion engines demonstrated principles of cosmic expansion in their firing cycles. Simple wooden doors became gateways to understanding that transcended normal spacetime. The Void Herald's perfect crystal ships approached Earth, their message unchanged. Accept perfection. End chaos. Become eternal. Maya stepped forward, her voice carrying to every world, every species, every being capable of understanding. We offer something different, she said. Not perfection, but growth. Not stasis, but change. Not power, but wisdom. The simple cup of water from the first archive appeared before every representative. But now they could see what humanity had seen millions of years ago, that in its very imperfection lay the seeds of something greater than perfection. Your civilizations look at humanity's primitive technology and see weakness, General Williams announced. The Void Heralds look at it and see inefficiency. But look deeper. The chamber's quantum displays revealed the truth that humanity had hidden for so long. Every primitive technology they'd maintained contained patterns that echoed through reality itself. The smoke from steam engines traced paths that matched galactic evolution. The rhythm of internal combustion mapped the heartbeat of spacetime. We didn't maintain these technologies because we needed them, Sarah explained, as understanding dawned in the eyes of 10,000 species. We maintain them because they teach something that the Void Heralds can never understand. That perfection is not the absence of flaws, but the acceptance of them. The Void Herald's crystal ships halted as their sensors detected something impossible. Humanity wasn't fighting back with weapons or shields. Instead, they were doing something far more dangerous. They were teaching. Across the galaxy, younger races began to understand. They saw how humanity's seemingly primitive technologies contained profound truths. They recognized that the choice to use simple tools alongside advanced ones wasn't weakness, but wisdom. The Void Heralds offer perfection without understanding, Maya continued. We offer understanding without the promise of perfection. The choice has always been yours. In that moment, as crystal ships hung motionless in space, the galaxy's younger races made their choice. Not with weapons or technology, but with understanding. They chose imperfection. They chose growth. They chose life. The Void Herald's perfect crystal ships began to dissolve, not from any weapon, but from contact with something they couldn't comprehend. The beauty of imperfection, the strength of weakness, the power of choosing not to use power. This was always the test, Sarah told Ambassador Rallin as they watched the darkness between the stars recede. Not whether you could defeat them, but whether you could understand why they had already lost. Across the galaxy, humanity's hidden technologies powered down, not in surrender, but in victory. They had accomplished what no weapon could. They had taught the galaxy's younger races why the most advanced civilization isn't the one with the most power, but the one wise enough to know why power isn't the answer. What now? Raylan asked, his scales shifting to a color that had no name, the color of understanding. Maya smiled, picking up a simple pencil from her desk. Now we teach you everything else we've learned. Not because we're superior, but because every teacher was once a student, and every student becomes a teacher. The darkness between the stars had lifted, and in its place was something greater than perfection, the endless possibility of growth, change, and wisdom. Humanity stepped fully into the light, not as conquerors or saviors, but as teachers ready to share the hardest lesson they'd ever learned. That true advancement isn't about reaching the stars, but about understanding why we reach for them at all. The end. First contact deception. The holographic display aboard the TES Meridian filled the bridge with an eerie blue glow as Commander Sarah Chen studied the approaching vessels. Their sleek, crystalline designs marked them as Arcturian ships, the self-proclaimed masters of the Orion Arm. 3 massive dreadnoughts, each easily dwarfing her modest exploration vessel, moved with predatory grace through the void. "Status report," she ordered, keeping her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. This wasn't just another first contact scenario. This was the moment humanity had spent the last century preparing for. Lieutenant Rodriguez adjusted his neural interface and brought up the sensor readings. Arcturian vessels maintaining approach vector. Their weapons are powered but not targeted. Energy signatures suggest Shield-class VI technology, exactly as our long-range intel indicated. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. For decades, humanity had intercepted and analyzed Arcturian communications, studied their technology from afar, and built up an elaborate facade of being a young, struggling spacefaring species. The Meridian itself was part of that deception, a vessel deliberately designed to look precisely as advanced as the Arcturians would expect from a primitive race. "They're hailing us," Communications Officer Patil announced, her fingers dancing across the haptic interface. "Standard Arcturian diplomatic frequencies." On screen, Sarah commanded, straightening her uniform. The holographic display shifted, revealing a tall, alabaster-skinned figure with 4 arms and bioluminescent markings that pulsed with barely contained superiority. "Greetings, vessels of Earth," the Arcturian spoke, their translator converting the crystalline sounds into smooth English. "I am High Marshal Vex Thor of the Arcturian Empire. We have been observing your species' fumbling steps into the cosmos with great interest." Sarah bowed slightly, playing her role perfectly. "High Marshal, I am Commander Chen of the Terran Exploration Service. We are honored by your presence." Vex Thor's upper arms moved in what their intelligence suggested was a gesture of dismissal. "Yes, well, your species has finally managed to achieve faster-than-light travel, however primitive your methods may be. The Empire has decided it's time to welcome you into the galactic community." Behind Sarah, her crew maintained their carefully crafted appearance of awe and nervousness. None of them betrayed any sign that humanity's true FTL capabilities had surpassed the Arcturians' crystal drive technology decades ago. "We are grateful for the Empire's recognition," Sarah responded, adding just the right touch of eagerness to her voice. "Our people have so much to learn." Indeed, Vexthor's bioluminescent patterns flickered with amusement. "Your species will be granted protectorate status within the Empire. We will guide your development, manage your resources, and ensure you don't accidentally destroy yourselves with technology beyond your understanding." Sarah allowed her expression to shift to one of concern. "Protectorate status. I'm afraid I don't have the authority to make such decisions. Our planetary council would need to." "Commander," Vexthor interrupted, their patterns now pulsing with harsh reds. "Perhaps I should be more clear. This is not a negotiation. The Empire has detected your primitive attempts at colonizing nearby systems. Without our protection, you would inevitably encounter species far less benevolent than ourselves. Accept our generous offer, or face the consequences of rejection." Sarah's crew tensed, but she maintained her facade of diplomatic concern. "High Marshal, please understand. I must consult with Earth's leadership. We've never encountered a situation like this." "Very well," Vexthor conceded with obvious disdain. "You have one planetary rotation to communicate with your leaders. We will expect your surrender. Your acceptance. By then." The transmission cut off abruptly. Sarah waited exactly 3 seconds before activating the quantum entanglement communicator hidden beneath layers of primitive electronics. "Control, this is Meridian. Operation Trojan Horse is proceeding exactly as projected. Arcturian forces have made contact and delivered their ultimatum." The response came instantly, bypassing all conventional detection methods. "Understood, Meridian. Ghost Fleet is in position. Continue as planned. The Empire's arrogance will be their undoing." Sarah looked at her crew, no longer hiding their true capability and training. "Send the coded signal to all our primitive colonies. It's time to show the galaxy why humanity spent a century hiding our true strength." As the Arcturian dreadnoughts loomed outside, none of their advanced sensors detected the quantum ripples spreading through space, the wake of hundreds of stealth vessels moving into position. Humanity's Ghost Fleet, led by the HMS Shadowblade, was about to reveal why you should never mistake patience for weakness. The true First Contact War was about to begin, and the Arcturians had no idea they'd already lost. The Ghost Fleet rises. Admiral James Harper stood on the bridge of the HMS Shadowblade, watching the quantum display as hundreds of stealth vessels emerged from their dimensional pockets. The massive ship, nearly invisible against the backdrop of space, represented everything humanity had kept hidden for a century. "Fleet status," he commanded, his neural link pulsing with data from every ship under his command. Captain Maya Patel's voice came through the quantum network. "All vessels reporting ready. Admiral, quantum shields at full capacity. Phase cannons charge. The Arcturians still haven't detected our presence." The Shadowblade's bridge hummed with barely contained energy. Unlike the crystalline technology of the Arcturians, humanity had developed something far more advanced: quantum manipulation technology that didn't just bend space, but rewrote its rules entirely. "Signal from the Meridian," Lieutenant Park announced. "Commander Chen reports the Arcturians are growing impatient. They're charging weapons." Harper smiled grimly. "Right on schedule. Begin Phase 1. Across the void, the quantum network carried his orders instantly. 100 stealth vessels, each one more advanced than anything the Arcturians had ever encountered, moved into position around the Empire's dreadnoughts. "Sir," Maya reported, "the Arcturian flagship is powering up their main crystal cannon. They're targeting the Meridian." "Let them fire," Harper ordered. "Commander Chen knows what to do." On the quantum display, they watched as the Arcturian dreadnought unleashed a devastating beam of crystalline energy at the seemingly defenseless Meridian. The beam struck and passed straight through the ship as if it wasn't there. Holographic projection systems functioning perfectly, Park confirmed. The real Meridian is safely out of range. Harper straightened his uniform. Open a channel to High Marshal Vexthor. Let's show them what they're really dealing with. The Arcturian leader's face appeared on the quantum display, their bioluminescent patterns still glowing with superiority. That was about to change. What trickery is this? Vexthor demanded. Your primitive vessel. I am Admiral James Harper of the Terran Ghost Fleet. Harper interrupted, his voice calm but carrying absolute authority. That primitive vessel was a projection, just like humanity's apparent technological level for the past century. As he spoke, the Shadowblade and its escort ships dropped their quantum stealth fields. The Arcturians watched in shock as hundreds of advanced warships materialized around them, their black hulls seeming to absorb both light and hope. Impossible, Vexthor whispered, their patterns now pulsing with fear. Your species, you couldn't have hidden this. But we did, Harper replied. While you watched our fumbling steps into space, we studied you. While you planned to enslave us, we prepared to show you why that was a mistake. Your crystal technology is impressive, High Marshal, but quantum manipulation, that's something else entirely. To demonstrate his point, Harper nodded to Maya. The Shadowblade's quantum drives activated, and the massive ship simply ceased to exist in normal space, reappearing instantly behind the Arcturian flagship. Your empire has subjugated dozens of species by appearing at their doorstep with overwhelming force, Harper continued. You mistake patience for weakness, preparation for primitive development. That ends today. Vexthor's patterns were now strobing with panic. You dare threaten the Empire, our fleet. Your fleet is already surrounded, Harper cut in. Those quantum ripples you're detecting, that's just the first wave. Humanity doesn't want war, High Marshal, but make no mistake, we're ready for one. The quantum displays showed more Arcturian ships arriving through their Crystal Drive FTL, responding to their flagship's distress call. Harper remained unimpressed. Lieutenant Park, show them a fraction of our capabilities. The Shadowblade's phase cannons powered up, their quantum-enhanced beams targeting specific points on the nearest Arcturian dreadnought. The shots passed straight through their supposedly impenetrable shields, as if they didn't exist, precisely disabling their weapons and drive systems without causing any casualties. That was a warning, Harper declared. Your shields operate on crystalline harmonics, impressive technology, but quantum beams exist in multiple dimensional states simultaneously. You can't block what isn't entirely there. What do you want? Vexthor asked, their superior attitude completely shattered. Simple. Humanity will take its place in the galaxy as equals, not slaves. You will acknowledge our sovereignty, withdraw your forces, and begin diplomatic relations properly. Or, Harper let the threat hang in the air as more Ghost Fleet vessels revealed themselves, each one a testament to humanity's true technological advancement. You have 1 hour to contact your Imperial Command and deliver our terms, Harper finished. Choose wisely, High Marshal. Humanity spent a century preparing for this moment. How long has your empire spent preparing for us? As the transmission ended, Maya approached Harper's command station. Do you think they'll accept? Harper watched the Arcturian ships on a quantum display, their crews undoubtedly in chaos as they realized the true situation. They don't have a choice. The question isn't whether they'll accept, but how many other subjugated species will rise up when they learn the Empire isn't as invincible as they thought. The Ghost Fleet maintained its position, hundreds of quantum-enhanced vessels surrounding the Arcturian forces. After a century of hiding, humanity had finally revealed its hand. The galaxy would never be the same. Battle of the Void Gates. The Arcturian Empire's response came not through diplomacy, but through the largest fleet mobilization in galactic history. 500 Crystal Drive warships converged on the Void Gates, ancient mysterious structures that served as the galaxy's primary FTL travel network. Their strategy was simple: control the gates, contain humanity. Captain Maya Patil now stood on her own bridge aboard the HMS Spectre, watching the massive Arcturian armada through quantum sensors. The Spectre, sister ship to the Shadowblade, held position near the Perseus Void Gate, cloaked in quantum fields that made it invisible to conventional detection. "They're really going all in," her XO, Commander David Chen, observed. "Practically stripped their core worlds of defenses for this." Maya nodded, studying the tactical display. "Pride is expensive. Senior Command knew they wouldn't accept their loss of face. That's why we're here." The quantum network lit up with Admiral Harper's transmission from the Shadowblade. "All Ghost Fleet vessels, execute Operation Checkmate. Remember your training. Today we show them why humanity chose the Void Gates as our battleground." Maya straightened in her command chair. "Battle stations. Begin quantum targeting sequence." The Spectre's crew moved with practiced precision. Unlike the rigid hierarchy of Arcturian ships, human vessels operated on a neural-linked command structure, allowing for instantaneous coordination and adaptation. "Multiple crystal drive signatures," Tactical Officer Sarah Wong reported. "They're using the gate's energy field to boost their weapon yields." "Just as expected," Maya smiled. "Deploy quantum mirrors." The Spectre released dozens of small devices that looked like simple satellites to Arcturian sensors. In reality, each was a quantum field generator capable of redirecting energy attacks back at their source. The first Arcturian strike came as a massive crystalline beam, powerful enough to shatter a planet. It passed through the space where they thought the human fleet was hiding, and met the quantum mirrors. "Mirror array functioning perfectly," Sarah announced. "Enemy beam redirected." On the tactical display, Maya watched as the Arcturians' own weapon turned back on them, shattering the shields of 3 of their dreadnoughts. The enemy fleet reeled in confusion. "Now," Maya ordered, "execute primary attack pattern." The Ghost Fleet move as one. Quantum drives activated simultaneously as hundreds of human ships phased in and out of normal space, appearing at seemingly impossible positions throughout the Arcturian formation. The Void Gate's ancient energy field, rather than hindering them as the enemy expected, actually enhanced their quantum capabilities. "Multiple targets locked," Sarah reported. "Phase cannons charge. Fire at will." The space around the Perseus Gate erupted in quantum-enhanced warfare. Human ships, virtually invisible to Arcturian sensors, struck from constantly shifting positions. Their phase cannons ignored crystal shields entirely, precisely targeting propulsion and weapon systems. "Enemy fleet attempting to regroup," David reported. "They're trying to form a defensive sphere around their command ship." Maya opened a channel to Admiral Harper. "Sir, they're following the predicted pattern. Ready to execute Phase 2. "Proceed, Captain," Harper's voice came through clearly. "Show them why we spent decades studying the Void Gates." Maya turned to her engineering chief, Dr. Raj Patel. "Doctor, activate the quantum resonance device." Raj's fingers flew over his console as he initiated the device, humanity's greatest secret weapon. Based on their research of the Void Gate's ancient technology, it could manipulate quantum fields on a massive scale. "Resonance field establishing," Raj reported. "Gate energy synchronizing with our quantum matrix." The Void Gate's mysterious symbols began to glow with unprecedented intensity. The Arcturian fleet, still trying to maintain their formation, suddenly found their crystal drives failing. By the Founders, an Arcturian commander's panic transmission cut through all channels. "What are they doing to the gate?" Maya opened a broad spectrum channel. "Attention Arcturian fleet. Your crystal drive technology is now offline. You relied too heavily on the Void Gate's standard energy field. We, however, learned to control it." The quantum resonance device continued its work, creating a field that completely nullified the Arcturians' advanced technology while enhancing humanity's quantum systems. Ship after ship lost power, floating helplessly in space. "Enemy fleet is disabled," Sarah reported. 87% of their vessels have lost primary power. The remainder are operating on minimal emergency systems. Maya stood, watching as the mighty Arcturian armada drifted powerless around the Void Gate. "Signal Admiral Harper, the Perseus Gate is secured." The battle had lasted less than 30 minutes. The greatest fleet in Arcturian history lay paralyzed, defeated not by overwhelming force, but by humanity's deeper understanding of the technology they'd all taken for granted. Incoming transmission from the Arcturian command ship. Communications reported. There, requesting terms of surrender. Maya allowed herself a small smile. "Tell Admiral Harper the board is clear. The real game can begin." The Battle of the Void Gates would go down in history not just as humanity's first major victory, but as the moment when every species in the galaxy realized that the old order had changed forever. The question now wasn't whether the Arcturian Empire would fall, but what would rise in its place. The alliance shifts. The Grand Council chamber on New Geneva Station hummed with tension as representatives from 30 different species gathered for an unprecedented meeting. 3 weeks after the Battle of the Void Gates, the galaxy's political landscape was transforming faster than anyone had predicted. Dr. Elena Santos, Earth's chief xenodiplomat, stood at the central podium, her dark eyes scanning the assembled aliens. The chamber itself showcased humanity's true advancement, quantum field architecture that could reconfigure itself to accommodate any species' environmental needs. "The Arcturian Empire's fleet remains disabled but intact," she began, her voice carrying clearly through personalized translation fields. "As promised, no lives were lost. Humanity seeks change, not conquest." A Nexarian delegate, their crystalline form shimmering with nervous energy, spoke first. "For 3 centuries, our people paid tribute to the Empire. We believed their crystal technology was insurmountable. Yet they paused, facets glinting. You turned it off like a simple light." "Not just turned it off," rumbled Cuttle, the massive Void Walker representative. "They mastered the gates themselves. Technology our oldest records call divine." Elena raised her hand for quiet as excited discussions broke out across the chamber. "Humanity spent a century preparing, yes, but not for dominance. We prepared for this moment. The opportunity to reshape galactic civilization into something better." The chamber's quantum displays activated, showing the disabled Arcturian fleet still floating around the Perseus Gate. Alongside it, data streamed showing the Empire's rapid political collapse as subjugated worlds declared independence. Already, 17 former Imperial worlds have requested diplomatic relations, Elena continued. The Arcturian Empire's grip was based on technological superiority and fear. Once those were broken, "And what guarantee do we have?" interrupted Tilara, the Seldavian ambassador, their feathers bristling, "that humanity won't simply replace the Empire? Your quantum technology clearly surpasses anything in known space." Elena smiled. "An excellent question, which is why I'm authorized to make this announcement. Humanity will be sharing our quantum technology with all species who join the new galactic cooperative." The chamber erupted in shock. Even the stoic Void Walkers showed surprise, their ethereal forms pulsing with unexpected colors. "Not all of it, obviously," Elena clarified as the commotion settled, "but the basic principles, enough for each species to develop their own quantum applications. We believe true stability comes through balance, not dominance." She gestured, and the quantum displays shifted to show technical schematics. "These are the plans for basic quantum field generators. Consider them a gesture of good faith. Our scientists are prepared to help your research teams understand and adapt the technology." The Nexarian delegate's crystals chimed with excitement. This would revolutionize our entire civilization. Our crystal tech could be enhanced beyond imagination." "Precisely," Elena nodded. "Each species has unique insights, unique approaches. Humanity doesn't want subjects or servants. We want partners." As the delegates pored over the technical data, a new transmission cut through the chamber's communications. Admiral Harper's hologram appeared, his expression grave. "Dr. Santos, we have a situation. Long-range quantum sensors have detected something concerning. Something's coming through the outer void gates. Something big. Elena felt her heart rate increase, but kept her voice steady. Arcturian reinforcements. No. Harper's image flickered slightly. The energy signatures are completely unknown. Whatever's coming, it's not from any civilization we've encountered. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The galaxy's political upheaval had attracted attention. Attention from beyond known space. How long? Elena asked. At their current speed, 3 days until they reach the Perseus Gate network. Doctor, the void gates are activating in patterns we've never seen before. Whatever built them, I think they're coming to check on their property. Elena looked at the assembled delegates, seeing their fear and their hope. The Arcturian Empire had fallen, but that was just the beginning. Now humanity and their new allies faced something far more mysterious. Well, she addressed the chamber. It seems the galaxy needs to stand united sooner than we expected. Who's with us? One by one, the delegates stood. Former enemies and neutral parties alike, they recognized that humanity had not just defeated the Empire. They had offered a new way forward. As the chamber erupted in declarations of support, Elena's quantum communicator pulsed with a message from Earth Command. Operation Phoenix is now in effect. May whatever's coming find humanity and its allies ready. The true test of the galaxy's new order was approaching faster than anyone had anticipated. But this time, they would face it together. Dawn of a new era. The Perseus Void Gate blazed with unprecedented energy, its ancient symbols pulsing with colors that defied description. The combined fleet of the newly formed Galactic Cooperative held position. Thousands of ships representing 28 species united for the first time in galactic history. Admiral Harper stood on the Shadowblades Bridge, watching the quantum readings spiral into patterns never before recorded. Beside him, Dr. Elena Santos and the Void Walker Catal monitored their own specialized instruments. The gate's quantum signature is evolving. Catal's ethereal voice resonated through the command center. These patterns, they're like nothing in our ancestral memories. The fleet had been positioned according to humanity's most advanced theoretical models. Ships equipped with both quantum and crystal tech formed the outer defensive rings, while pure quantum vessels like the Shadowblade maintained position near the gate itself. Energy spike. Lieutenant Park's voice cut through the tension. Something's coming through. The Void Gate center erupted in a cascade of impossible geometries. Through this dimensional breach emerged a single vessel, if it could be called that. It seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously, its form shifting between crystalline perfection and quantum probability. By all that exists, Catal whispered. The architects themselves. The mysterious vessel dwarfed even the largest ships in the cooperative fleet. Its surface rippled with technology that made humanity's quantum advancement look primitive by comparison. We're being hailed, communications reported. The signal, it's reaching us through quantum, crystal, and dozen other channels simultaneously. Harper exchanged glances with Elena. This was the moment that would define galactic civilization. Open all channels. The bridge's quantum display filled with an image that took their breath away. The beams aboard the vessel were both familiar and impossible. They seemed to be made of pure energy, their forms suggesting the basic patterns that all known species shared. Children of the galaxy, the beings spoke, their words translating perfectly into all languages simultaneously. We are the architects. We have watched and waited. And now, you have surprised us. Elena stepped forward. We are honored by your presence. I am Dr. Elena Santos of Earth, and we know who you are, the architect interrupted, its form shifting like starlight on water. We know all of you. We built the Void Gates as a test, scattered them across the galaxy, and waited to see who would truly understand them. A test? Harper asked. Many species discovered the gates. Some mastered crystal technology. Others found different paths. But you, humanity, The architect's form pulsed with what might have been approval. You did something unexpected. You learned, you hid, you prepared, and then you shared. The quantum displays showed images from recent events: the battle of the void gates, the formation of the cooperative, the sharing of technology. The Arcturian Empire hoarded power. The architect continued. Others sought only to serve or survive. But you understood the true purpose of advancement: to lift all who would rise with you. A new signal emanated from the architect vessel, flooding the quantum network with data. These are the full schematics of the void gates, and much more. You have proven worthy of the legacy we left behind. Elena's eyes widened as she scanned the preliminary data. This is beyond anything we imagined. It is yours now, all of yours. The architect's form encompassed the entire fleet. The galaxy enters a new age. Use it wisely. And you? Cathal asked. Will you stay? Our time has passed. We guard the spaces between galaxies, ensuring tests like this continue. But here, now, in this galaxy, the future belongs to those who choose to face it together. The architect vessel began to pulse with energy. Remember this moment, children of the galaxy. Remember that it was not conquest or submission that brought you here, but the choice to stand as equals. As suddenly as they had arrived, the architects vanished, their vessel dissolving into quantum probability. But they left behind more than just advanced technology. They left a legacy. Proof that the galaxy's greatest achievements come not from domination, but cooperation. Admiral Harper looked at the assembled fleet, at the former enemies now turned allies, at the endless possibilities the architect's gift presented. Send word to all cooperative worlds, he ordered. The void gates are just the beginning. Together, we have a galaxy to explore. Elena smiled, watching the quantum displays show celebrations erupting across countless worlds. The Arcturian Empire's fall had not led to chaos, but to something new, something better. Humanity had hidden their strength for a century, revealed it in a day, and used it not to conquer, but to unite. Now, with the architect's blessing and legacy, the real journey could begin. The dawn of a new era had arrived, and it belonged to all of them.